Hello, welcome to my second episode on physical manifestation. So every step in the realm of acceptance is a hidden step, meaning there exists no other machine than life forms and life itself to measure and perceive these quantities. The smallest measurable place is at state 6, which is the movement of subquarks. Imagination. The exterior you perceive with the interior you receive is fractalic in the smallest substance with the smallest units which the smallest compound particles are made of. It is the ethereal, like Gabriel, ethereal. It splits up into ether particles and the void which corresponds to the ether. So ether particles plus void is the ether. Ether particles are subdivided into the particles which make up imagination. These substances form light. So from ether light is formed. So ether particles form light. Light forms sound forms subquarks move, heat, attract, force, work and create the periodic table. The periodic table is overlapped with different generations of particles into the black periodic table. The black periodic table is overlaid into an exotic periodic table. That is how from the smallest the biggest comes about. The biggest also affects into the smallest, and the reality has a time influence, and also the form and meaning of human life. So time splits up into 3 or 4 zones or sectors. Imagination operates on the completely fractalic. That's why we can imagine. So the smallest substance is like Earth. That's manifestation. We control the universe. It becomes a visualization. So you start imagination, you start creating this etheric, you shape the etherical. Then you visualize. When you visualize, you split up the etherical into particles and the void. Then light appears, you form it, it is a thought. So when you create light, now with the universe, it's a thought. Then the thought gets transformed into an emotion. You move that light, it gets into an emotion psychologically, and that is light transportation. It's what you feel, it creates sound. So the light of the thought creates the sound of the emotion. Then the emotion forms into subquarks. That's why you psychologically accept things. After you do that, it moves. The orbitals overlap. It creates a heat flux because of the possibility to switch to other orbitals while the orbitals staying unchanged. The orbital transport gets so big that attraction arises. Because of angular and inertial and lateral inertial, this corresponds to a net force. The movement across the net force corresponds to a net energy, which we know as work. Movement is instinct. Overlapping orbitals, so the first transport of subquarks is heat, is intuition. Attraction is inspiration because the subquarks create an imbalance in the new, more orbital compound system. Physically speaking, force is truth because it pulls from a certain direction. And work is sincerity, the energy you create is along the distance you walk in the direction of truth. Now protons, electrons, neutrons and neutrinos emerge. This is the state of being. The work attitude and ethic and rights, but the humanity and humbleness when it gets to gratitude and teamwork. Not something that wants no work, but all the benefit which leads to unpartiality with the state of being. The state of reflection is when we represent an atom with multiple generations of quarks. The state of resolution when we represent the atom and quarks at the same time, which leads to an ecstatic atoms which explains every superposition and decoherence argument. And finally gives a way to kinematically express the 5 hidden layers of physics of acceptance. The 5 first steps in this order: imagination, visualization, thoughts, emotions, acceptance. The winner of this gets an album about his life as a scientist. The compound particles consist of 5 letters. The movement pair of the Muslim world correspond to 5 aggregates which dominate in 7 heavens which orbit the universe, the sun in the middle of the unknown universe. Light can tunnel between heavens, but it's not a must. The aggregates are particles which can vanish in and out into new particles or forms when interacting with each other. So the particles are not fundamental. It is the realm of imagination which governs the time development and scattering of these bigger compounds, which are manifest as the second layer of manifestation, which is visualization. Archangel Gabriel is a local resident of the planet Earth. He knows most of himself through watching Earth. Because he lived so long, he watched Earth and he learned a lot. It is a galaxy. Gabriel is a galaxy, a conscious galaxy. It is a galaxy which uses the ethereal. It has a conscious and can manifest itself to humans or speak with him in his true form and project itself to Earth or gravity lands and activate neurons to see this gigantic galaxy or galaxies. The galaxy itself is neon corresponding to the last steps of manifestation, but it is in itself, in its core, ethereal laser or ether particle creator. In this ethereal, the world is completely fractalic to everything it surrounds. Every galaxy we see on the heavens is a screenshot of the tunneling between heavens into our heaven. There are 7 rings. So to say, we have not yet found out the way to calculate the real speed of galaxies. So between the 7 rings, there exist no molecules and atoms. So they jump between the rings when they teleport the tunnel. So to say, we have not yet found out a way to calculate the real speed of galaxies which have to overamount the speed of the tunneling observations drastically, which we commonly know because the galactic velocity has to overamount the velocity of the stars, which are measurably high, in order to have a non-colliding order within the system out of kinetic and another frame astrochemical reasons. So you have a galaxy and we see a speed, but the speed is too slow. Why? Because the stars are so fast that the galaxy as a whole has to be very fast, so the stars in itself don't collide. If the galaxy is not fast enough, the stars in the galaxy would collide, but they don't collide. But we have a measurable speed of galaxies, which we know as the redshift and blue shift. Loosely speaking, it is too low. What is the speed about? This speed about is also a tunneling speed, but you know the way the calculation works, it is so low because it tunnels over a distance where no atoms are. But this is also very fast, but it's not the correct speed of galaxies. We measure the wrong speed. We measure the tunneling speed between a heaven into our heaven of a galaxy. And this is too low, the speed that we measure with our calculations. So first we measure the tunneling speed. Secondly, we calculate the tunneling speed force from the redshift. Third, we don't measure the real galactic speeds. And fourth, the real galactic speeds have to be very high so that the stars, which are very fast inside the galaxies, don't collide. And they haven't been colliding since, I don't know, so many years. That was it for this episode. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to make this script work. It's a reflection of what I've said in the other video, but as a text. So we create physical layers, and these physical layers we create a psychology. And so in order to do things in the universe, we have to concentrate on the manifestation and on the manifest. We have to concentrate on the machine that we are, that we can influence every step of physical existence. The 5 steps of existence we cannot directly calculate it, but as a human being we can still influence them. And it's evolutionary important that, for example, acceptance is one of those hidden layers, because you may have to accept something cruel to escape something much worse. For example, you have to amputate your arm, for example, to survive. Right? You have to accept that. It's really hard to accept as a living being to amputate your... So it's a hidden skill. So the imagination is a hidden skill, because you know we have so many wishes and such. We may be trapped in a labyrinth, or somebody may be scheming a really dark plot against us, and we have to use our imagination to escape from the cell. And also thoughts. Thoughts are concentration of information. Like with grammar and logic, I can use 2 sentences to describe something we have studied about our whole lives or the last year. And that's why rap and autotune and rap and singing combined is the form of the Quran. That's the last form of singing and rapping mixed, with the deepness of rap lyrics. Also the singing is the Quranic verse of songs, of music, version of music, and this is the last version of music that will exist in the whole universe, because you can say so much in a so beautiful manner with detailed use of words, the intentional use of grammar and logic and words and homomorphism and ellipsis and parabola and so on. Thank you for listening.